Whew. And to kind of, I just had kind of something that Rabbi was talking just a minute ago about food that has something that I've been on my mind off and on over the years. I kind of find interesting and kind of fascinating and sometimes frustrating about human behavior um, uh, involving food. And that it's interesting that when it comes to food, humans in general tends to believe everything that they're told about it. But yet anything else, any other type of product or even service that we are sold, we generally tend to be very skeptical because we know we're being sold something. So for example, an infomercial, I'm not sure if they still do those, but they would come on TV and you'd be like, you're trying to sell me something. Or go to a car dealership, and you're talking to a salesperson about new vehicle might be fit for you. You're going to be initially kind of thinking and coming from the mindset that they're trying to sell me something, so they might try to sell me not what I need or what I want, but what would be beneficial for them. So we have this skepticism that we have, rightfully so, in judging all these things. But the moment we walk into the grocery store as humans, that tends to all completely disappear, and people see the image, never a photograph, of course, of so it'd be an illustration of this cow in this field with a big smile on her face on the carton of milk, and everybody buys into it. Nobody questions it. Nobody stops and thinks and looks at that carton and goes, you're probably trying to sell me something. Is it something I need and something I want? Or are you trying to be a little, maybe a little dishonest, or trying to sell me something because it's beneficial for you? Like, all that stuff seems to go away the moment we walk through the sliding doors of the grocery store. And we don't no longer see that we're being, sold, attempted to be sold something, and we just buy into it, whatever it might be, whether it's, free range, eggs, or again, the false notion of, happy cows out in these big green meadows with very other cows around, and they've got a smile and the sun shining, and they're happy to like almost hand you a glass of their milk, right? That's literally what's on the carton of a lot of milks or dairy products. And we just tend to see that stuff and go, okay, sure. And then we leave the grocery store with all our groceries. We go home and we turn on the TV or listen to the radio on the drive, and a commercial comes on, and we're right back to being, okay, you're trying to sell me something. Let me kind of think through what you're saying and try to figure out how I feel about that, and what I want or what I need, type of thing. And I was fascinated and also, like I say, frustrated by the fact that for some reason, when it comes to food, we immediately toss that skepticism right out the window. And your comments, Rabbi, just a little bit ago about food reminded me of that. So
I appreciate it very much, John. I think that's a good point in terms of where does our skepticism begin and where does it end?
right.
Yeah.
So I think we need it. That can serve us well, having that skepticism, which is why we have it. And it would be great if we could get more people to keep and maintain that when it comes to food and the choices that they make, because they might make other choices, especially combining that with other information as well. And that's what it's all about. And I know that's what all of us here want, in addition, for ourselves, is we want others, because that's the only way that the animal cruelty and the other issues are going to stop, is to get everybody, on board as a majority to understand and buy in, just like you were sharing it from the environmental conference. And I had no idea that this year they no longer had like the carbon footprint and the information that they had before. And that, like you when you're sharing, I could definitely see the expression on her face. Yeah, that just blew my mind. Yeah, it was mind boggling. It's like, what, really? Especially because they did it before. So then I kind of wonder, was there pressure maybe from some groups involved with animal agriculture that kind of maybe brought that about? But yeah, who knows? We'll see. But hopefully we'll get back there. Wow, fantastic. Again, thank you, Rabbi. Really, really appreciate that. So my name is John Netzel. I am the founder of Peaceful Field Sanctuary. Peaceful Field Sanctuary is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, founded 9 years ago. We're located here in Virginia. So we're in the greater metro DC Baltimore area. I'm also the president, and Peaceful Field Sanctuary was created to blend Jewish ideals of repairing the world, tikkun olam, and avoiding animal cruelty with vegan concern for the rights of farmed animals. PFS mission is to honor all of creation through providing a safe and forever home for farmed animals in need so that they can live free from abuse, exploitation, and neglect. A core aspect of this mission is to highlight the cruelty of animal agriculture through showcasing the personality and lives of our residents and engage in vegan outreach to prevent further harm. Peaceful Field Sanctuary is currently home to a little over 80 rescued farmed animals and has saved nearly 150 lives to date. Definitely you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our website is peacefulfieldsanctuary.org. So again, thank you for joining us and participating in this event today. We all greatly appreciate it. So what I chose and what I wanted to kind of share and talk with everybody a little bit about is going to be kind of on the side of kosher, and also a little bit with Jewish law and how that relates to farmed animals, animal cruelty, and the problems that creates. So Jewish law, as has been touched on by several presenters, prohibits inflicting pain on animals or increasing their suffering for an unjustified reason. And while this is not an outright mitzvah in Torah, the concept itself is covered by mitzvot in Torah. Kosher oversight begins at the point of slaughter, at the slaughterhouse. And so this means the cruelty and the suffering involved with animal agriculture and factory farms and their life experience remains no different whatsoever from like standard or your regular factory farms and animal agriculture. No different whatsoever. Large numbers of animals are confined still, just like in CAFOs and factory farms, in overcrowded settings, causing stress, emotional trauma, and frequent injury to the animals. Many times, especially with chickens, turkeys, and ducks, so the birds, they are kept in the dark. The reason why the birds are kept in the dark is to reduce the stress and the trauma that they're feeling from the overcrowded situation. So like many things with animal agriculture, instead of addressing the issue or problem, in this case, overcrowding, and solving that, they come up with kind of other band-aid things and address the symptoms. So it would be kind of like, if we were sick and we had all these symptoms, not feeling well, we go to the doctors and we go in, the doctor comes in and we tell the doctor, we're not feeling good, and we list off all the symptoms and the things that we're feeling or not feeling. And say, for example, one of them is that we have a cough. And so we mention that, and then the cough, or excuse me, the doctor is like, aha, you have a cough, so you obviously have a cold. So I'm going to treat you for the cold. Um, and meanwhile, that's only addressing a symptom and just one of those. And there could be lots of reasons that you could have a cough that aren't involving a cold whatsoever. And so we would probably be a little concerned and kind of ask our physician, are you going to do any tests or do any other checks to make sure that we're taking care of the actual problem and not just addressing a symptom. So that is why the birds are kept in the dark. Frequently, these environments, of course, are incredibly filthy and dirty, which can lead to a higher risk of disease for the animals. And large-scale dosing, for example, of antiparasitic drugs, which, unlike antibiotics, are still used in kosher farming. Chickens in the egg industry frequently suffer ongoing pain from foot injury as a result of the wire cages, and male chicks hatched are killed as they do not lay eggs and cannot replace the older hens who are killed when their production decreases. Also, beaks are also commonly cut without pain management to prevent the birds from acting out with aggression to others or themselves due to the emotional trauma of their environment. Frequently, after about 11 to 12 months of productivity, there is a forced molting to enable a second season of egg production in the egg industry for animal agriculture. The common method to bring about this forced molt, and if you're not familiar, molting is when a bird sheds their feathers to be able to grow all new feathers. So this happens naturally, generally once or twice a year. It's because their feathers provide protection from the elements, from the weather, also from the sun. Feathers also provide insulation, and for birds that fly, feathers are definitely instrumental in that happening. So as they get damaged and broken and things and worn and out throughout living their life, their bodies then will go into a molt where they'll shed a lot of their feathers to grow, be able to grow all new ones. So this is forced molting. This is forced molting to enhance and increase egg production. And so the common method to bring about this forced molting is by starving the birds and denying them water. And as already touched on by several of our fantastic presenters, that is a violation to be able to not provide food and water and proper care for the animals. So that is a problem right there, and is just one of the many aspects then that would make, in this case, bird-based animal agriculture not kosher by that happening. Rav Moshe, regarding calves who are raised for veal, concluded and said, "It is forbidden to cause suffering to the animal, to feed it things it gets no pleasure from or suffers from for the human benefit," also involving it from an aspect of cheating people, as the calves are force-fed unnaturally. The same thought could also be applied to foie gras, where geese are force-fed continually on the farms in a process proven to cause damage and pain to the bird's esophagus. For these reasons, foie gras is banned in Israel as well as other nations as a form of animal cruelty. Other aspects involving with other species of farmed animals would be sheep. So if we all close our eyes and mentally picture a sheep right now, I bet we all picture them with a round rear end. Well, sheep actually have tails. We don't picture them that way, and that is because in animal agriculture, the tails are always cut off of sheep shortly after they're born. The tails that they have are substantial, and they're like a dog's tail. They are flesh and bone. They have nerves in them, so they feel pain, and they have muscular control of the tails. And like with anything involving animal agriculture, um, that process does not involve any form of pain management whatsoever, including beforehand and also afterwards as well. Goats go through something called disbudding. I'm not a fan of that term because it sounds a little too friendly and a little too soft and a little too nice for what it actually is. So goats have horns, and both male and female goats have horns. So if you see a goat that does not have horns, they have suffered and gone through disbudding. You cannot cut off a goat's horn. They would die from that experience if that happened to them. So they have come up with disbudding. What disbudding is where they take a electric iron device that gets to 1,000 degrees. And I know that everybody, just like me, we can't even mentally really comprehend how hot 1,000 degrees is. We just know it's so incredibly hot that it's just kind of mind-boggling what that temperature would be like. When we do tours and events, I try to share with people to help them kind of understand that. It would be similar, but not the same, if you turn the burner on your electric stove on high, let it get glowing where it is bright red, and put your face down on it and try to imagine the excruciating extreme pain that would be. I'm very skeptical that electric burners on stoves actually get to 1,000 degrees. So I would imagine it would also be much worse. So they put these devices on the heads of baby goats to kill all the cells that then would grow to become the horns. Unfortunately, because of that, it also frequently causes brain damage. Their brains are literally being cooked inside their skull from the extreme temperature and the extreme heat. And also from an issue that is an important issue with us from the animal rescue and sanctuary side is there's also something called scurs. Scurs are when that process doesn't go well, and there are still little bits and pieces of horns that grow, and these will be little pieces or little chunks, not a complete horn, and so they're very fragile. And with goats liking and enjoying to headbutt each other as a form of play, also as a form of kind of communication with each other, and also a form of working out a hierarchy and establishing that. These pieces are very fragile, so when they headbutt, they tend to snap and break them off, and bleed a lot, and also be in a lot of pain and need medical care because of that. So that is disbudding involving with goats, whether the goat dairy industry or the goat meat industry. Cattle also frequently have their horns cut off, again, like with the goats and like with the sheep's tails. With no pain management provided for them beforehand, during, or afterwards. So one could even also argue that cattle created to graze on grasses are being farmed today in violation of Rob Moshe's statement, as their feed in animal agriculture is an unnatural diet consisting of corn, soy, grains, and silage. They are definitely grazers, as they were created and meant to be, and to enjoy grasses similar to sheep and also equine. But in the farming of them in our modern society, with it being a business and all about the profits and being large scale, factories involving lives, that was been deemed not profitable to do so. So instead, they are fed these items that aren't meant for their body and their health and their well-being. And kind of cool to tie back into an earlier presentation. So corn, soy, and grains are not grain, the parts that they are eating. So that again highlights where they are having an unnatural diet. None of this that we've talked about and shared so far is necessary. None of it whatsoever is necessary and is merely a result of large-scale animal agriculture, making the pain, hardship, and suffering these animals endure in their life unjustified, and thus, I believe, a violation of Jewish law. Because as you remember when we started, the Jewish law prohibits inflicting pain on animals or increasing their suffering for an unjustified reason. So there is a loophole there for a justified reason, but all these reasons are unjustified because they are unnecessary. So therefore, they are actually a violation of that. Thus, we can see even before the kosher oversight even comes into play, and with plant-based options so readily available, is animal agriculture even justified at all to even exist? I would argue that it is not. Adding to this, the repeated issues and lack of proper oversight at the kosher slaughterhouses, all of which today are massive factories, just like the animal agriculture side. And repeatedly, we find the kosher process is failing, with animals frequently suffering and dying in slowly and in pain. One well-known famous example that everybody might even be familiar with is the corporation agri-processors in Iowa. Including the procedure performed immediately after kosher slaughter of ripping out the tracheas and esophagus, the esophagus of conscious cattle. This has been documented and witnessed. And according to Dr. Temple Grandin, the real purpose behind the procedure at agri-processors of them actually doing this is unclear and unknown. It is not necessary. Whatever the reason, this procedure is not required by kosher law whatsoever. However, for kosher slaughter to optimally reduce suffering requires properly designed restraint devices that hold and keep the animal in an upright position used on the animals, as well as specific forms of employee training involved, neither of which are required by the USDA or kosher certification agencies in the US. So there is no clear and direct oversight or requirement for these to be able to happen, to be able to maintain and keep everything in a approved kosher status. For more than 6 years, agri-processors had it as a business practice for cutting and removing the tracheas and esophagi out of the animals. And it's been determined that about 25% of the animals that would suffer and go through this procedure did so while still being conscious. Again, another violation right there. For 8 years or more, they have been so lax in their slaughter technique that animals have routinely been fully conscious for minutes after being dropped from the restraint systems onto the ground. As if this wasn't enough to make agri-processor facility kosher in name only, other violations like the misuse of electric prods on animals, including their faces and other sensitive areas, and the use of restraining pins, which was condemned as a violation even of the Torah mandate not to cause pain to animals by the conservative movement's highest halakhic body. As you can see from the very beginning, with the birth of the animals in farming, through cruel exploitation of their lives and ultimately the terror of their death in the slaughterhouse, modern animal agriculture violates Jewish law regarding animal cruelty. To truly be kosher in today's modern society, one must remove themselves from contributing and participating in this industry. One must go vegan. That is what I have for everybody today. Any questions, comments?
Just along those lines, John, if I may.
Yeah.
Just to give you a heads up, since you did mention the conservative movement, and to both my pride and my shame, yes, I am a conservative rabbi. So I'll say the following. The conservative movement, as you noted, going back 10 years with the agri-processors debacle, did try to develop a separate hechsher that was addressing some of the issues that you were alluding to, both in terms of the animals that were being slaughtered and the animals that were the workers who were being treated so poorly.
Mm-hmm.
All the animals, two-legged, four-legged, all were being crushed. That did not actually work out, but just so you know, there was a resolution that was put forward in 2021 to the Rabbinical Assembly to form an ad hoc committee to specifically evaluate just the factory farm system. It wasn't being asked for necessarily any recommendations. There wasn't any like, oh, we need to create another hechsher and so forth. Just like, does the factory farm system meet our requirements for Tsar Baalei Chaim and humane treatment of animals?
Yeah.
And if not, where might one find ethically sourced food? So that resolution, by the way, passed overwhelmingly in the RA. There's actually a subcommittee that has been working on that very question, and we'll be presenting findings both to Rabbinical Assembly and also then pushing them out into the general community. So just to give you a little sense of some of what along those lines of what's unfolding.
Yeah. Good. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rabbi. Any more questions, comments, thoughts? All right. Wow. Well, fantastic. Thank you so very much, everybody, for joining us today. I know it was a long afternoon, but we had some amazing speakers who all shared incredible information. And in addition to the learning that was involved with today, it was just fantastic just to be hanging out and spending time together in amongst with other individuals that are passionate about these issues, and to kind of have a great little subset of the community together, to be able to share and learn and grow and hopefully get encouragement from, and kind of get our internal like batteries recharged, by knowing, even if you might be physically somewhere where there aren't a lot of vegan Jews in your area or in the community, and sometimes it's easy to kind of feel like you might be kind of isolated and alone. To be able to connect is huge. So I'm glad that we had that opportunity as well. So that's important. The community aspect is important too, in addition to the information and tools that we can share with our broader, bigger community too. That is great. We did record the session. So I'll be working on getting that edited and uploaded and getting that available online for everybody to watch and go back and enjoy. Additionally, so I will make sure to send an email out to everybody once that is available and once that is ready. I know, we got a friend, cool. Nice.
Not even mine, this is my son's. I got two others.
Gotcha. So that would be great to be able to go back and review and take notes from. So I'm looking for doing that as well, because I definitely learned a lot of knowledge and also got a lot of inspiration from everybody, both presenters and all your amazing questions and comments. So that is fantastic. I would love to make this a regular event. That is my hope. I don't know how much, as far as the greater community that we do this, I'm not really aware of this happening too much, as far as having a fantastic forum for vegan Jews and those who are concerned about animal issues, to be able to come and get together and talk and share. So I would love to have it be at least maybe an annual event, and to grow and kind of go from there. So thanks everybody for participating in the first one, and we hope there's a lot more to come from that. And feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns or ideas of improvement for next time. And we will look forward to seeing everybody then. All right.
Take care. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Yeah.